Welcome back to Wednesday Wellness Debrief, your weekly guide to a healthier, happier you. I'm your host, Brittany, and I'm so glad you're joining me today. We're diving deep into a topic that's been on my mind, especially after my latest reality TV binges. No, seriously, if you've been keeping up with shows, which is my favorite, The Real Housewives of Potomac, you know that Candace Dillard-Bassett really opened up about her fertility experiences. And for fans of Love is Blind, especially season 1, the recent news from Lauren and Cameron about their IVF journey and upcoming baby has been truly heartwarming and powerful reminder that behind the glam, the pods, and the drama, real people are facing incredibly personal and often challenging paths to parenthood. Today, we're going to unpack in vitro fertilization, what it is, and why it's such a vital option for so many. But we're also going to explore how external forces like politics can unexpectedly shape these deeply personal journeys. Specifically, we'll touch on what the Trump administration's actions have meant for IVF access and what those signals for the future. Disclaimer. Our aim with this episode is to offer a supportive space for learning and discussions about wellness. However, it's vital to understand the information shared is not a substitute for professional medical consultation. We encourage you to use what you learn here as a starting point for conversations with your own medical provider, who can officially diagnose and develop a treatment plan tailored specifically for you. Let's start with the basics. You hear the acronym IVF thrown around a lot, but what does it actually mean? IVF stands for in vitro fertilization. And in vitro, two separate words, is Latin for in glass, which I didn't know. So in simple terms, it's fertilization that happens outside the body in a laboratory dish. Think of it like this. Normally, conception happens when sperm meets an egg inside a woman's fallopian tube. For many reasons, this process might not be possible or successful. That's where IVF steps in as a truly remarkable medical advancement. So how does it work? Honestly, that's not my scope of practice, but I have created an amazing playlist of episodes discussing the IVF process with experts. Those will be in the show notes listed below. Now, for those of you who, like me, find themselves glued to drama on shows like Real Housewives of Potomac or Love is Blind, you've seen firsthand how fertility journeys unfold in a very public way. We saw Candace share her struggles and the emotional toll it took in season 8. And most recently, for fans of Love is Blind season 1, Lauren and Cameron, who found love sight unseen in the pods, shared their deeply personal journey with infertility and their ultimate success with IVF leading to their pregnancy. Their pregnancy view was so adorable. These stories, while played out on reality TV, resonate deeply because they reflect the very real emotions, sacrifices, and vulnerability that so many individuals and couples face. Belief in the possibility of building a family, dealing with something so personal really humanizes the experience, and they may not realize it, but they're helping reduce the stigma around infertility. It's a journey that requires immense emotional fortitude, financial resources, we'll come back to that, and often a deep dive into self-care and finding your community. Coming back around, speaking of financial resources, let's dive into how broader policies can impact this deeply personal decision. Now, I have to put my master's degree in health law into play here, and this is where the conversation takes a more political turn. And it's important to understand how policies can affect something as intimate as family building. During Trump's second administration, while there was a stated goal to expand access to IVF, the reality was often more nuanced. February 18, 2025 executive order that aimed to expand IVF access, reduce costs, and remove barriers. The administration highlighted the importance of family formation and acknowledged the high cost of IVF with limited insurance coverage. The executive order called for policy recommendations to address these issues. Actually, an article published by McDermott, Will, and Emery titled Reproductive Health Under Trump So Far and What's Next. The article starts off stating, this administration has shifted federal policies and priorities regarding in vitro fertilization and will continue to do so. So basically, the order itself didn't establish new rights or guarantees, leaving implementation subject to existing laws and available funding. State abortion laws have somewhat solidified following Dobbs. but many laws remain unclear as to their impact on in vitro fertilization providers. Many states have abortion prohibitions, but they predate IVF, some of which define unborn child from the moment of fertilization or conception. Other laws are ambiguous, but contain language that arguably protects a fetus at any stage of development. While IVF itself is distinct from an abortion, the legal status of embryos has become an issue in some states. Actually, in the article, this happened in Alabama in February 2024 per case Lee Page versus Center for Reproductive Medicine PC. The Alabama Supreme Court became the first state Supreme Court to definitively rule that unborn children includes frozen IVF embryos. So meaning the court held an IVF clinic liable under the state's wrongful death statute after an incident in which frozen IVF embryos were destroyed. Now, this decision initially caused several IVF providers in the state to stop services for 2 weeks. And after the 2 weeks, when other stuff was passed, a specific exception in the statute was given to IVF providers. While that specific issue was addressed, it highlighted the fragility of IVF access in a shifting legal landscape, where the definition and the status of an embryo could be subject to legal challenges that could impact cryopreservation, embryo selection, and ultimately the ability to pursue IVF. The underlying issue for IVF access in the United States has always been the lack of comprehensive insurance coverage. Only a fraction of employers cover IVF. Approximately 22 states now mandate that insurance plans provide some combination of fertility benefits, fertility preservation, and coverage for a number of IVF cycles. While the Trump administration's executive order acknowledged this, the follow-through in terms of systematic change to insurance policies has been largely absent. This means that for many, the financial burden of IVF continues to be a major hurdle. The practical impact on access and affordability was, and for many, limited by the lack of concrete legislative action and raised concerns about the equitable access and the legal status of embryos. Honestly, reading it and doing the research, it's a huge, complex picture and one that underscores the need for continued advocacy to ensure that IVF remains a safe, accessible, and affordable option for all who need it. As we wrap up this episode, it's clear the journey to parenthood through IVF is both incredibly personal and deeply intertwined with broader societal and political currents. My hope in discussing this isn't to discourage, but to empower. Knowing the landscape, understanding the process, and being aware of the challenges can help you advocate for yourself and for others. If you're considering IVF or currently on this path similar to me, remember these are the key takeaways. You are not alone. Infertility affects millions, and there are vast communities of support available. Reach out to friends, family, online forums, and support groups. The vulnerability shown by women like Candace or Lauren reminds us of the power in shared experiences. Knowledge is power. Understand the IVF process, ask your doctor questions, and be an active participant in your care. Advocacy matters. Support organizations like Resolve, the National Infertility Association, who are fighting for better insurance coverage and protection of IVF access. I'll put a link to that organization in the description below, but your voice collectively can make a difference. Prioritize your well-being. Lean into self-care, whether it's therapy, mindfulness, or simply allowing yourself grace and rest. And from my experience, the desire to build a family is a fundamental human longing. And IVF provides a pathway for so many to realize that dream. It's a medical marvel, but it's also a deeply human experience deserving of understanding, support, and protection. Join me next week on Wednesday Wellness Debrief as we explore the importance of prenatal yoga. I have some special episodes planned next week to celebrate International Yoga Day. Keep an eye out on social media for updates. Reminder, all playlists, articles, and resources mentioned will be in the show notes below. Make sure you subscribe, leave 5 stars, and leave a review. Until then, stay well, stay mindful, and keep nurturing your amazing self.